All right, welcome everyone. This is a very special stream here. I'm a big tag team fan. I grew up watching 80s tag teams, in particular the Rockers. I'm a huge Rockers fan. I always wanted the Rockers poster and the t-shirt, but we're talking about breakups here because of what happened recently in NXT, revolving around the Rockers and Shawn Michaels booking. But the Rockers, a nice, wholesome rock and roll 80s tag team, had one of the best breakups ever on the barbershop. Brutus the Barber Beefcake had the Rockers on. Shawn Michaels looking like a rock star. Marty Jannetty looking like he bought tickets to Shawn's show. What a great, great breakup. The super kick and Shawn Michaels throwing him through the barbershop window. They both went on very polar opposite trajectories. Marty Jannetty obviously is, I don't want to say the butt of a joke here with tag teams, but we're kind of using him as that, but we respect his work in the ring. But Shawn Michaels became Mr. WrestleMania and one of the all-time greatest ever. So the Rockers were great. They resembled the hair bands of the time here, some of my favorite music. But again, Shawn Michaels had the look of the frontmen of these hair bands, while Marty Jannetty looked more like a bassist. Sorry, Kip Winger. But that is why Shawn Michaels was chosen to be the big draw here because of his attitude and look of the era. So now we get to Toxic Attraction in NXT. This is where I am perplexed on what happened here. I thought they were both on the same track here. Mic skills, in-ring work, everything. They were great as a team and equals. So when they were like, basically, if we're talking about hair metal bands, they're the Nelson of hair metal. They're both the same, both putting in the work, and they both have fabulous hair. But when they were booked on Ding Dong Hello as special guests on NXT, I thought this was going to set up a nice feud, possibly WrestleMania, for them to challenge the main roster women's championship tag teams against Damage Control. But that was the swerve. This segment booked by Shawn Michaels, we saw a C-plus super kick from JC Jane going into a wonky door. It didn't quite work as planned, but it happened. Gigi Dolin became this generation's Marty Jannetty. I'm perplexed on this. Again, I thought they were equals. I did not see either one of them being a Marty Jannetty, but that's what we need to discuss today. We are going to go through all these different companies here because Gigi Dolin came back. So we are on the path leading up to WrestleMania weekend. Find out who is going to come out of this looking more like a Shawn Michaels and more like a Marty Jannetty. So we're going through AEW, NXT, both rosters on WWE, Impact Wrestling. Eric, how you doing? ROH, Tony Khan's pet project. Wow, Women of Wrestling. If you haven't checked this out, please find it. And we're going to find out who is the Gigi Jannetty of all these tag teams of modern day wrestling. And since I was so wrong about Toxic Attraction, I didn't know who was Marty Jannetty or Shawn Michaels. I don't know if I can trust myself doing this video alone. So I had to find someone. Went all the way to the UK to get one of our favorite wrestling channel streamers out there. SCW The Wrestling Channel on YouTube. Please welcome to the channel once again, Steve. How are you doing, Steve, buddy?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me. And what an intro that was there. Honestly, I've been enjoying sitting in the green room for the last few minutes, checking all that out there. And yeah, what a thumbnail as well there. I love Marty Jannetty with the ginger hair there. That's a nice touch indeed. But like you saying, the Toxic Attraction breakup, it took me a little bit back as well because of the way they've done it. Dare I say it, controversially, we may even touch on the topic of JC and Gigi, but yeah, interesting with the path they've chosen with them. It certainly brings a lot of discussion points here today with all the great tag teams in professional wrestling.
Definitely. We're going to touch on a lot of these teams. If you got comments on ones that I'm not putting in the stream here, let us know and we'll go through them and let us know who you think is the Gigi Jannetty of these teams. And just to kick it off, what did you think of this compared to the barbershop segment?
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of similarities, aren't there? Obviously, we don't have a barbershop these days, but we do have Ding Dong Hello. Obviously, Bailey was coming down especially. She was great to bring perhaps more eyes to this segment as well, to try and give the ladies the best stand-up possible. I will be honest with you, I'm not sure if the roles will stay the same come the end of the rivalry of these two. Like you said, there was a lot of similarities with the two. I do feel Gigi's got quite a cult following, though. I do feel that she's got something that makes us stand out in the crowd, let's put it that way. But it's an interesting duo, an interesting team. And like you say, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's have some fun right now. We'll kick it off right now with two people that I don't really think are that fun. Sorry. But Gallus, Joe and Mark, what do you think? Who is the Jannetty? Who is the star? Or are either or none of them?
Do you know what? It's a tough one to start off with. I thought myself this was going to be like, you know, the episode of Friends where Joey gets everyone to clear their minds and you've got to kind of answer the questions really quickly. I think
Yeah.
Phoebe did it first. I thought myself that's what I'm going to do and go with my gut instinct. But that's pretty much what I'm going to do here, really. I think if I had to pick a Jannetty of these two, I probably would go Wolfgang. I know he's been the singles wrestler before, but Mark Coffey for me, just I don't know, as a performer, seems to be the one that's always at the front when these two are in the ring. You've even done it here with the graphic. Coffey is at the front here of the two. So I'm going to go with Coffey to be the star. And I've got a feeling Wolfgang probably be the Jannetty. He wasn't really doing so much in a part of the NXT UK crowd until he was brought into Gallus Cyber. So that would be my choice there for you. But Zach, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking the same thing. I honestly think Wolfgang's going to... He could be a manager for someone. I don't know. It's just there's a very boring stereotype, and we'll get to a couple AEW people in there that fit the same as well. But there's no charisma out of him.
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling as well. But they seem to be able to shoot some pull pretty well.
Yeah, thrilling television. All right, let's get on to the next one on the Raw side. I'm mixing matching all the different brands so we're not all bogged down and we can just kind of move around. And again, maybe there isn't a Jannetty, or maybe they're both superstars, or maybe they're both Jannettys. So whatever you think in the chats, let us know. Alpha Academy.
Again, another tough one. We're getting some tough ones in early here, but
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, when I look at it, I mean, Chad Gable, incredible in the ring, but is he really going to get to the main event area of WWE? I mean, Otis, or should I say Otis, maybe in a few weeks. I mean, there's definitely something in that. I mean, but again, it would be a comedy act if that's the case. So, I mean, Otis has already survived one tag team. I mean, obviously, already got rid of one Jannetty. Would Chad Gable be another? But then, same as Gable. Gable's been in a number of teams as well and got to this point. So, both have got a lot of tag team experience. For me, I just think Chad Gable belongs. I don't necessarily say the main event, but he is the closest thing we've had to a Kurt Angle since Kurt Angle. So, for me, for that reason, I'm going to give Gable the Michaels treatment, and I'll give Otis the Jannetty treatment with the maximum male models. But at the same time, again, another tricky one, Zax.
They are both very entertaining. It's funny how Otis went from being the Shawn Michaels now to the Marty Jannetty in this tag team. But Chad Gable, I do believe under the Triple H regime, he could be a world champion once they split those belts up. He's so good. He like they say with Vince McMahon, you do the job, you do your character as you're kind of told. He did that. So he's just outstanding.
It really is heck of a talent.
Yep. All right, next up, Private Party from AEW, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn.
Right, okay. Well, you would think for me that I would go with the hair for Mark Quinn to make him the Michaels, but I don't think I've seen him on TV for a long time in AEW now. We seem to see Isaiah Cassidy a bit more often. So for purely that reason of getting more TV time in this Matt Hardy storyline with the Firm, Ethan Page, I want to say AEW Dark more than AEW Rampage or Dynamite. Certainly not what I see on a weekly basis, but I think that I will go with Isaiah Cassidy. He's had more of the singles matches of the two that I've noticed in AEW, although saying that, I think Mark Quinn has had a TNT title shot in the past as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. AEW is treating them both like Jannetty's, in my opinion. And man, if you're not catching Rampage like the other 200,000 of us, you're really missing out on a once-a-month appearance by Private Party. All right, let's go to ROH. We have the Embassy, Brian Cage and company, Gates of Agony. It might be a little too early to tell on this one just because a lot of people aren't really familiar with Gates of Agony, and ROH isn't quite yet on your $9.99 Honor Club. But do you have any thoughts on this one?
I mean, just to say very quickly, I think Private Party should be a part of the Ring of Honor roster. I think that definitely would give them more of a chance to break out. But going with this team here, Brian Cage should be the star. You look at the guy, the muscles there. He's in places I didn't know places existed, politely. But at the same time, like this dude, he's been a former Impact World Champion previously. He was a force to be reckoned with in Lucha Underground back in the day as well. This guy should be the breakout star. He's getting some moments, obviously in AWTV, but I don't know. They've dropped the ball with that guy massively. So for me, I think that's why he's part of this six-man. Khan, for me, has a lot of potential as well. So I think he's got potential of the other two as a tag team previously has the potential to break out. But as you said, when it comes to familiarity, I'm not as familiar with their work as much as I am with Brian Cage.
Yeah, Brian Cage gets the Lance Archer treatment a lot, and Leona is very good. It's just you got to know how to book him. And Tony Khan, I don't know, because Brian Cage is just there to kind of job on Dynamite.
Yeah, it seems to be the case.
Yep. All right, let's go this one. Damage Control, EO and Dakota. They might be dropping these titles pretty soon.
Potentially, maybe as soon as this Monday for those that are watching at the time we're recording. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's a biased answer to this one because a lot of people will say that it's a real tough one, and it is because both are heck of the talents. But I deem one of them to be one of the best women's wrestlers in the entire world, and Io Sky is that person for me who's one of the best in the world. So it's going to have to be Dakota Kai. She has been the one that sort of tried to break up teams previously in the past as well and gone off the losing end. So she's trying to be the Shawn Michaels and ended up being a Jannetty. So for that reason, by process of elimination, despite being a big fan, Dakota Jannetty.
There we go. I like it. We'll get a nice orange streak down that hairline right there. And Io Sky, I can't wait for I hate saying this, but I can't wait for Damage Control to break up so Io Sky can be a huge star.
In a dream world, they would lose those tag team titles this coming week on Raw. We can get Lita and Becky against Ronda and Shayna, and we can get a Damage Control triple threat match at WrestleMania. That's what I'd like to see.
Call the psychic Steve right now because that's who we're going with next on SmackDown. Shayna and Ronda Rousey. I'll start this one off. I don't think there's a Jannetty on this one. I think they're both Shawn Michaels in their own right.
I think they have the potential. When you look at their past careers, I mean, Shayna Baszler, for one, when it comes to NXT, one of the greatest NXT women's champions of all time. When I think we go a bit more mainstream, I think that's where the split happens because Shayna Baszler hasn't been booked that way. She started off with it on the Elimination Chamber now about 3 years ago when she first came in, had the match with Becky Lynch. But after she lost that Mania match, I don't think it's been to the same level. I mean, she has been freaked out by a Lily doll in the past. I don't know if we're for the horror fans out there. So I would have to, if you're saying to me pick one to be on the Jannetty side, I mean, she's already there. I mean, Ronda is the established mainstream name of the two. So she would obviously always be the Shawn Michaels. But at the same time, like you say, if you go with both of them in ring, like you say, I don't really think there is a Jannetty. I think Shayna has that potential to be on the same level, but she's just not been given the, let's say, the luck of the booking.
True. I think that's about to change after these two have a tag run, and then Triple H is free to book Shayna the way he wanted to back in like NXT.
Fingers crossed.
All right. We're talking about Wolfgang and like zero personality. This is who I was talking about here. The Butcher and the Blade. Thank you for coming. Thank you for getting the pin. Thank you for being on Rampage again. We got two Jannettys here. I'm sorry.
I think we have got two Jannettys. I mean, I remember Blade's work in Impact Wrestling. It didn't seem for me like he was going to be a breakout star at that point, politely. But I'm a fan of his work when I see matches in AEW. The matches are usually good. Same with the Butcher as well. The Butcher's got a glorious beard, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt of being the less Jannetty of the two.
There you go. And to their credit, at least they make the other talent look really good when they do jobs.
They do.
So, no Barry Horowitz is here on Impact. Let's go to WoW Women of Wrestling. Steve, are you familiar with WoW? Do you get it where you are?
I don't, unfortunately. So I'm yet to be wowed yet, but it is a promotion that I would like to check out if there was the availability to do so.
Okay, it is on Pluto, and if you're in the States, it's on your CBS affiliate throughout the week. I watch it here in LA late Saturday night. It airs around midnight. But I just want to give this recommendation. We are around the same age. I call that age fine wine. This reminds me of watching Superstars on like the weekend back in the 80s. It's just fun wrestling. You're not worrying about dirt sheet crap or wonky booking. It's just fun to watch. AJ Lee on commentary. If you get a chance to watch it, check it out.
I would love to. If it's available anywhere, then certainly would love to give it a go.
Yeah, it is fun. The Mother Truckers here, Big Rig and Holly Swag. It's too soon, again, for a lot of these tag teams here in WoW because they just aired a little bit ago. They film here in LA and then they, put it out there. But this is too soon. But I will say, I think Holly Swag has some good camera work in there. But they're both on the same page for me.
Sounds good to me. I need to see more.
Yeah, it's good. I got a few more in here from WoW, but we'll get you familiar. The Street Profits.
I mean, they're two heck of talents, and I do think that I don't think there's a Jannetty amongst here, but I do think we've got a possible breakout star and a possible world champion in the future. I guess there's no surprises here. I think Montez Ford has definitely got the potential one day to get to the top of the card. Both have got unmatched charisma with when they get going on the mic. They can do stuff without being prompted, really. But Ford, for me, just feels like he will be the one that will get to the top. I always think of Andrew Dawkins. He reminds me of Adilo Brown. He reminds me of that mid sort of card title kind of area where, I think it's the Sky High personally. I think that's what does it for me, really. He's just missing a frog splash. But for me, that's where Montez Ford comes in. He puts the pins on there at the end there. So for me, Ford will be the one. I think just a little bit more muscle there for you, like to just be that kind of feel like that true heavyweight. Not like
Yep.
Crash Holly back in the Attitude Era, but with the super heavyweights. But I think Ford's got it.
I agree. Noob, how you doing here? He says Dawkins is dead weight. Noob, I do have a tiny NWA section in there we'll get to. But I want to say here, Montez Ford. This is gonna sound really weird, but he did an ad for a truck. I don't know if it was like Dodge or Chevy or what it was. The way he delivered in that, I saw someone who could be in like a movie here in Hollywood, an actor. So I think with that alone, just that acting potential and his in-ring ability, I think he is going to be a world champion soon. And I love how Dawkins kind of realized that when they're kind of teasing a tag team months ago, and his skill set has improved and he's lost some weight. So kudos on him for, seeing the Jannettyism in WWE.
Absolutely. I think both will be fine though.
I think so as well. Yeah, Dawkins needs a little bit of his own push right there. Real Kings, how you doing? All right, let's get into the next one right here. NXT. Fallon Henley and Kiana James. They're going to break up eventually, obviously. But who do you think is a Jannetty in here, or is it too soon to tell?
It can be too soon to tell. There's a lot of potential with both ladies, but like you say, this is a breakup waiting to happen. There will be a Jannetty in the future potentially, but I'm going to say that, I mean, Kiana James probably is the one that's going to win the feud, if I'm honest. But for me, I just feel that Fallon Henley, I've been a big fan of her work since coming in. I think that she's someone I'd like to see get the push. I wouldn't like to see her become a Jannetty. So I'm going to go and say that I think neither will be a Jannetty. And I'm going to go probably more heart over head. I will say Fallon Henley, I think for me, will be the bigger star potentially of the two. But I mean, Kiana James is good at what she does.
She is, yeah. For me, it's a little too soon to tell, but we'll see what happens when they break up in a month or so. All right, let's go to AEW right now. Top Flight. Dante Martin got a big push. We saw a lot of single stuff out of him. Unfortunately, due because of injuries to his brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's probably why we'd make our decision with this one kind of simple, that Dante at the moment feels like he's a couple of levels ahead of Darius Martin, but they only need an opportunity to give Darius moments to break out. The trios matches they've done with is it AR Fox? I always want to call him Dante Fox from his Lucha Underground days. So I'm stuck in the past, unfortunately, with that. But Top Flight, I think for me as a team, I look and say that I believe that they will be, in 10 years from now, will be seen as one of the greatest tag teams in pro wrestling over the last decade. I think they've got everything in their locker to do so. I actually think they could be this year's Acclaimed and really break out on their own. But obviously they're a completely different act. So I don't expect it with the mic work. I expect it with the in-ring stuff and the flippy stuff that they tend to do so well. But I think Dante is obviously for now is the Shawn Michaels of the two, and it is AR Fox. Thank you, Real Kings of Fighters, for clarifying that.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I love watching them, and I want them to be a tag team for a very long time.
Me too. There should be no Jannetty when it comes to these, hopefully.
No, especially brothers. You don't see brothers become a Jannetty, and what if they go home for the holidays? One of the parents says, well, you're the Jannetty, so you really don't get to eat first.
It's not worked out for the Mysterios very well, so yeah.
All right, more WoW right here. We have the Heavy Metal Sisters. Since you're not familiar, I'm just going to go here. Fury and Razor are the two standouts right now, but again, they are booked on TV very well. But again, people in WoW aren't necessarily on every week, so we can't really judge them just yet. But WoW, again, more great tag teams. Let us know if you watch WoW and what you think of the Heavy Metal Sisters. Great camera work by them. All right, let's get to the creeds. Can they take us higher? Is there one Shawn Michaels here at all? I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of like plain white bread, like no sandwich here, no dressing, nothing.
Sometimes I can be quite vanilla. I'm not going to lie to you with my taste buds in the kitchen, but I think I see something different, Zax. I remember when these guys won the tag team championships, and I'm not going to lie to you, there has been moments where I look at Julius Creed and I think he has got potential to be the real, not just the breakout of the two, but I'm talking two different levels. And that's nothing against Brutus. I think he still has got a bright future ahead of him. But I look at Julius and I do feel, for me, that could be, we talked about comparisons of Kurt Angle and people like that earlier on. I think we could find that with this guy. I think that if his mic work can just improve a touch and his in-ring stuff with experience, I really think Julius can be the one that could be a Shawn Michaels. And unfortunately, that would make Brutus not a beefcake, but a Jannetty.
That's right. I agree. It's just a lot of the acting on NXT is very, I don't know, like straight to video kind of acting. If we're gonna be honest here, so Julius is a big part of that bad acting for me every week on TV.
I still think I think he will get it together, and I think he will be a proper star. I've seen in the comments here. I have referred actually, I meant to refer that to Julius Creed being the breakout star of the two, and Brutus being the Jannetty. So if that was not clarified, I do apologise if that wasn't clear. But I will say that I hope that if we mentioned about Alpha Academy earlier, if we do get Otis with the Maximum Male models, I'd like to see Chad Gable bring these two up and have a modern day team angle.
That is brilliant. I like that a lot. And since you are booking right now, if you could book a TLC match with Top Flight and two other teams, who would it be?
Very good question. I mean, the Young Bucks, obviously, they've had some great matches in the past. So, obviously, we're keeping things AEW. And when it comes to the other matches and experience, I know people will say, look, we've just seen these guys do this a couple of times previously, but we're not sure if FTR is sticking around. So, I'll say the Lucha Bros being the other team there because, I just think those three teams and they could create some magic.
Brilliant. I like it. Noob, yeah, the acting is Tiffany's acting is so bad it's good though. I love you have to be over the top when you're with that character. I absolutely love Tiffany Stratton.
I'm a big fan.
All right. Next up, we have Chuck. We have Trent. We have the best friends. I gotta say, Chuck is so goofy. Even when he's in the ring, I cannot take them seriously at all. And I think he brings down Trent.
I completely agree. I do feel that this is a team that had a 5-star classic with Santana Ortiz, Proud and Powerful, a couple of years ago on Dynamite. I believe it was the backstage parking lot brawl that they did, something along that line of the title. That was brilliant, but unfortunately, we've not seen enough of that. And I think even to a point where I can even argue both are booked a bit like Jannetty's, although I agree that Trent is the less Jannetty, is that we always have Trent's mum involved. She's more over than the two of them combined, I feel.
I believe that as well. And Chuck's hair is getting a little long. It's time for him to go to the barbershop. All right. So you have this great tag team, Grizzled Young Veterans, so fun to watch, so entertaining, so themselves, and then you do this to them. I can't. I just see two Jannettys because of their booking.
Yeah, the booking is what's harmed them. Obviously, shoes off if you hate Gibson. For me, I think Gibson was clearly the two of these that would be the breakout star. But I've got a bit more into Schism recently. I don't know what it is. Probably it's the vodka. But at the same time, I have warmed to it a bit more recently. But I mean, I want my GYV back. I mean, obviously, being from the UK as well, I'm probably a bit biased on this topic. But I love the Grizzled Young Veterans. I thought they were awesome together as a duo. I understand they probably, for whatever rights, wanted to change the names and stuff and mix it up. But for me, I want them back as they were.
I agree. Watching NXT UK was, it was fun because they were really great matches, but a lot of the personalities reminded me of Gallus. These were the two that came over that I thought worked so well. I loved them, and I was really sad when they did this to them. Like, oh, this is awful. All right, so not awful. Impact Wrestling. Contrary to what Eric says, I know Knock absolutely loves these two. I love these two. They put on great matches, and they were just wrestling for New Japan this past weekend. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Motor City Machine Guns.
I mean, this is a tough one to go with. Two incredible talents, really. I mean, the amount of people actually that come out and say have perhaps worked with Impact, obviously, depending on your stance of Impact's good or not, they say that Alex Shelley is a huge influence on many people's careers with the experience he's given. I imagine the Machine Guns together themselves have probably inspired so many tag teams over the last 10 years of what we will see going forward in the future of tag team wrestling as well. It's a shame they never got a shot at what I would call the big time. To go to WWE, sort of that 2011-12 period would have been awesome. But I'm actually going to say to you, it's hard to pick a Jannetty of these two. I don't really want to say they're both short potential, but they are one of the best tag teams going. So if I had to make one a Jannetty, it would be Shelley. But the pure reason for that is just, as we're talking Impact Wrestling, Chris Sabin has been a world heavyweight champion.
That's true. That's a good point. And Mr. Alpar says they're both Sean. I'll agree. And this is just one of those things, like we talked about Top Flight. I just don't want to see them break up. They're like the definition of modern day tag team. So I love them.
Absolutely.
All right, they got the titles. I don't know. I don't know, man. Tony Khan has a huge announcement tonight, and I hope it's that he's kicked the coke. This was so. This deflated an entire arena almost as much as Sami Zayn losing on an Elimination Chamber. This was so meh. What do you think about the guns? Is there Jannetty? You see one of them dressed like Shawn Michaels. They have their entrance gear, a lot of it like Shawn Michaels. They think they're Shawn Michaels, but who knows?
I mean, let's be fair. They'll do well if they have a career like Billy Gunn, let alone having a career like Shawn Michaels, with the longevity Billy's had. But the only way that could have worked is if Billy had turned on the Acclaimed. I still thought they might do that at Revolution, but now we've got potentially 4 teams going to be in the mix. I don't see how that works. But Austin, for me, has got great facials, great character work.
Yes.
Colton, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of the other one, isn't it? And I feel for me that he has got the. I feel in ring he's got the look and he's kind of got the vibes that will probably carry the team or carry a career with more longevity. So if I had to pick a Shawn, despite the fact that Austin's got more of the let's say the facials and the character are probably down at this moment, I'm going to go with Colton to be the one that will be the Shawn Michaels, Austin to be the Jannetty, purely because of the fact that Colton has less experience, but I think he will overtake his brother eventually.
Okay. Austin has charisma, but Colton is more athletic. He is. That's a good point, and that goes along with what Steve says. I'm not sure which one is older. And Noob, wait till you see the thumbnail for this week's episode. Let me just say that. All right.
Wait.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Guns to drop the titles. All right, the Good Brothers, they've been everywhere all around the world. Carl Anderson is usually the one with the matches. Machine Gun can go in the ring. Nothing against Gallows, but Gallows just seems to be the Jannetty and actually okay with that.
Yeah, it seems to be that. Almost he probably was the Shawn Michaels when he was Festus with Jesse, but that's about as far as it's gone. We're going back 20 years doing that. And for those that have got nightmares just thinking about it, I'm sorry. I think, like you said, that Carl Anderson is the Shawn Michaels of the two. I mean, he's been a singles champion as early as this January, or as the latest was this January as a never openweight champion for New Japan. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I know we sort of harp on about his time in 2012 and that G1 or whatever it was at the time, but he does put on some good matches. I think for me, Carl Anderson is the Michaels of the two. Gallows, like you say, he accepts that role of being the secondary character. He's just the muscle that's there, but probably more than likely is the one that eats the pin half of the time.
Right. And it's funny how his character is kind of like how he's in real life. He just wants the payday. He's fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Couple of brewskis and that's it.
Yep. All right. Briggs and Jensen. If we're going to talk about NXT acting, these two really, wow. Is there Jannetty? Is there Shawn Michaels? Are they just, I don't know. Are they just there?
I think, I mean, they have their role. They are kind of like, if we were like an Attitude Era kind of comparison, I suppose, I would link them to like when you had like the teams like Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys, like those were the top tier. Then you had Too Cool. Now these two aren't doing the dancing, but they've kind of got the Virgin Act going on here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's fun for variety, but it's although they're carrying championships here, they NXT UK at this point clearly was on its way down the toilet to become NXT Europe. So I mean there was never a point here, but I mean again Brooks Jensen probably already doing about as well, or probably as Bull Buchanan or Buchanan was at a WrestleMania. I don't know with these two. It's hard to say really who would be not a Jannetty. I think both of them potentially could be over time. They're thankful they've got each other. Let's put it that way.
There you go. That's a good one. You know who used to think that? Tucker.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to Impact Wrestling, the Death Dolls. I mean, Valkyrie is a Shawn Michaels on her own, but
Yes.
What do you think about Jessica or Rosemary?
I mean, technically, I wouldn't give anyone the Jannetty role necessarily because they've all been breakouts, and when it comes to Impact, I think they've all been champions in their own right in the past. But like you say, Valkyrie for me is head and shoulders above the rest. She's proven it multiple different destinations, even though perhaps her NXT run was more short lived. I think that's more unlucky more than anything else. I think she would, if Triple H had got that pencil sooner, she'd still be there today. As if I had to pick a Jannetty and I had to pick one, I think I would go with Jessica, but I think that's probably a bit unfair as well. Her character is less than a year old. Obviously, she's been Havoc previously, where she was causing a lot more chaos with the Sinister Minister. We'll forget his modern name back in that these days, but yeah, I mean, she'll be the one I'd pick, but it's a tough one. The Death Dolls, 3 world champions put together as a team here, as a trio, and they are doing good work in Impact at the moment.
From what I see, yeah. And let me just ask you this, because it's tough for if you don't have Access TV, the station here, it's tough to watch Impact and not pay for it in the States. How is it by you?
I mean, a lot of the stuff with Impact, I will be honest, I see is via YouTube. Obviously, when it comes to the bigger shows, I will pick and choose what I think is worth my time and what is not. Usually, the bigger shows I will go out for. I would tend to not miss a Bound for Glory, for example, or a Slammiversary. Those are the big ones. But when it comes to like No Surrender this weekend, can't promise I'll give it a watch, even though I think there's a couple of good matches lined up on that show.
Gotcha. Noob, it's not going to be too many NWA ones. Again, Billy Corgan, put your wrestlers on your page. Get a roster page on your website, please.
Would be good.
Yeah. All right, Hit Row. According to Michael Cole, top dollar is Marty Jannetty all day.
I think Marty Jannetty would probably school top dollar at this point, according to Michael Cole. So yeah, I mean, if there's anyone going to be given a Sean role in this, and let's be fair, it's none of them. But B-Fab is the only one that seems to have the standout when she comes out of the trio for me. It's unfortunate because I was a big fan of Hit Row when they had Swerve in NXT. I thought they brought a lot to the table. When they were brought to SmackDown originally, I thought, right, this is going to be a game changer here because it was something new, something modern, something fresh.
Yeah.
But they've been brought back to TV. And again, I've mentioned that kind of too cool kind of role, but this isn't even too cool kind of role. This is kind of like, I don't know, your Saturday night's main event, your Velocities, your Superstars, your whatever that doesn't really do well. When they do make the big shows, they tend to be jobbing in about 2 to 3 minutes.
I agree. And they really, really, really are missing Swerve Strickland. And on the opposite side, AEW, he's Swerve Strickland. He doesn't need those other two with him. They're bringing him down. Is there anyone that can help him or help Hit Row?
I'm sure there is, but I mean, at the same time, when you look at such promising talents, I mean, I remember last summer doing many Q&As on my channel, and some people were saying about the idea of Carmelo Hayes being a part of this group, maybe with Trick Williams. Obviously, they would bring something to the group. Carmelo not being perhaps he's kind of more of a 205, 215 pounds kind of guy. Not going to get to the top card, perhaps on his own. So maybe that backup would help him. But does it fit the narrative for him? I'm not so sure. I actually would prefer Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams to do their thing on their own personally. So I'm not sure. There probably is someone that could help them. Swerve obviously was a good fit for it at the time. It needs to be someone that would be under someone with perhaps a musical background. And no, I'm not talking Rick Boogs or Elias.
Oh, thank God. I cannot stand Boogs at all. All right. We'll convince him one of these days, Mr. All Power. He'll watch Impact. And Strickland would around. He'd be Shawn Michaels for sure. Top dollar is Marty. Oh, he's such a nice guy. I feel bad for him. And congratulations to him on the weight loss. All right. More wow right here. Miami Sweet Heat. I cannot pick one because they are twins. That again, I can't. They're not there yet for me to like differentiate, but they're working very together. So I'm going to go with the next one too, the Tonga twins from WoW as well. I would just feel like a bad parent choosing a twin, but we'll do that at the end because we got twins at the very end. But those two we're going to choose because they've been on TV long enough and they have had character work very recently with the Bloodline.
Noob will tell me on this, but I feel like were they not once just like a job act on the NWA back like when Power just started? I could be wrong with that, but I feel like I've seen them before somewhere.
I think you're right, and I know they floated around a bunch beforehand, before they signed with WoW. But they're great, and they're getting mic work too. So the tag teams in WoW are going to be, I think, soon AEW men's tag team level.
I like it. There's a lot of promise there.
Yeah, there is. SmackDown Imperium. Let me know if you think there's a Jannetty here, if you think there is even a Sean, or if you think they're just a tag team.
I mean, for me, they're just a great tag team. I wouldn't split them up, but obviously, I looked at Bartel, which of course Ludwig Kaiser got the call up first. Seemed to do a bit of the mic work, and always I feel has been the mic work guy when it came to Imperium with him and Eichner. So Eichner's a fantastic hand in the ring as a good wrestler, but so was Jannetty back in the 90s. Jannetty ended up being the guy that was knocked to the side. So if I had to pick one, I'd say that Vinci would probably be the guy that would be given the boot, even though I think he's fantastic in the ring. These two, for me, One of my favorite tag teams. I hope they don't split up. I didn't like that they were pulled apart to be, for Ludwig Kaiser to be brought to the main roster on his own in the first place. And
Right.
Giovanni Vinci. I mean, of course, everyone loves an entrance, but that one was a bit cheesy for my liking. So I'm glad that they're back together as Imperium.
Same too. And Giovanni, I will give him credit. The vignettes leading up to that were actually really good, and he did a really good job with it. But yeah, those entrances weren't it. Here's an answer to your question from Noob. Oh, not an answer, but they are related to Tonga. So here, Noob, maybe you can be the one to answer because I cannot watch a full episode of Power. You can replace all those R's with Z's. There's something that puts me to sleep on NWA Power, but I got some for you. And Steve, let me know if you got any on here. We'll do 2. Again, I can't get graphics for anything NWA. I do believe all of our wrestling channels promote NWA better than NWA promotes NWA.
Probably does. Unfortunately, my knowledge of NWA has dropped since, I want to say, when Trevor Murdoch won the championship, and obviously there has been a couple of let's just say comments that have done the rounds in the wrestling media that unfortunately has probably taken away some of my interest. But I am very familiar with the Hex. I have seen them in Impact previously. Obviously, Marty Bell as well was in the I believe one of the Mae Young Classics previously as well. Maybe Sienna had done that role as well at some point. So I've seen quite a bit of their work in the past. If I had to pick a Jannetty, I would go Marty Bell just because of the fact that I think Sienna is the more, let's say, polished of the two athletes in ring. But at the same time, these two, I think, have been pretty glad they found each other. They seem to have they've done good work from what I've seen of them when they've been together in NWA, because they were together in NWA before I stopped watching, and also then have now actually turned up in Impact Wrestling. We mentioned about the Death Dolls earlier on. That is one of the matches that will be taking place at No Surrender. So for me, keep them as a team. But if I had to pick a Jannetty, I would go with Marty.
Okay, that's fair enough. And I do like that they do build on each other very well from what I've seen, and pretty empowered. I do believe they are. I don't know if I'd say there's a Sean or Jannetty in there. They work as a tag team from what I see, and that's fine. They're just a good tag team.
Yeah, there we go.
The knowledge from Noob, Marty Bell is Marty, and AK is HBK. There we go.
There we go.
The official. And here you go, the Fixers. I am not familiar with them at all, Noob. If you got anything, Steve, if you are familiar with them.
Unfortunately, I can't give you the fix on this one. I have no idea of these two, I'm afraid.
All right, Noob, we'll wait for your comments on them. And the Renegade Twins. So, again, they work as twins. I cannot really break them up and say there is a Marty Jannetty just yet. But they've been really good. They've been on AEW. And they're now the NWA Tag Team Champions. Are you familiar with them?
Mainly from AEW Rampage. I believe that's where I've seen them previously. They look both okay in ring. Obviously, they did the job of Raw on the day when they were in there. I want to say they were against Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter when I saw them.
Yes.
So yeah, of course they are not going to take most of that match. But like I say, I probably would say keep them as a team. And obviously, it looks like they're doing good work if they're women's tag team champions right now.
That's right. All right, NXT, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, they're obviously going to get split up at some point. Do you see a Marty Jannetty among these two, or is their character work so well we see two Shawn Michaels?
Now, here's the thing with this one. I'm really glad this team came up, because I'm probably going to make a comparison now. It's probably going to make the chat hate me. But at the same time, these two, Isla Dawn for me should have been the Jannetty, should have always been the Jannetty. But her presentation since coming to NXT has been nothing short of fantastic compared to how she was in NXT UK. She was almost portrayed for me like a bit, dare I say, like a Mankind style character. And Alba Fire with the baseball bat and stuff, I kind of thought their brawls were kind of take a Mankind-esque. And I'm not saying someone's flying off a Hell in a Cell or anything like that, but I feel like when we've seen like the the old sort of Attitude Era kind of styles, where we see like Mankind and Kane were a team at one point, we've seen the Brothers of Destruction being a team at one point. Mm-hmm. These two have been that sort of rivals with the sort of darker characters coming together, and I think that they have something that could be pretty exciting. I think they will be your next NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. But Alba Fire, Kaylee Ray, I'm not a fan of the Alba Fire character. I'm going to be honest. I prefer as Kaylee Ray. If she was Kaylee Ray, I would turn around and say that she would definitely be the Shawn Michaels of the two. Isla Dawn would be the Jannetty. But currently, as the booking is done on NXT, it's almost felt like that Isla Dawn is almost the leader of that team. I don't know if you feel the same, Zax.
I do. It's almost like a spell is under. You got me calling her Kaylee Ray now. I'll call her Daniel Bryan. She was so good in NXT UK that the elbow fire stuff threw me off. It threw me off so much that I do 100% agree with you that Isla Dawn does feel like the leader, even though Kaylee Ray should be technically.
Should be, but I think there's a lot of potential with these two together. I'm actually quite excited as a proposition because, like I said, Isla Dawn for me, I was a fan in NXT UK, but how she's been here, the facials, the camera work, the in-ring work, everything seems to have gone up a level. It feels like she's on a bigger stage and she's taking the opportunity she's been given. So it wouldn't surprise me if these two, may bring out the best of each other, and actually we could find WWE's tag team division is actually rescued with these two together. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. Daz, how you doing? Big up to you. And Knock is here, letting us know the Renegades already lost the belt, sadly. Billy Corgan, What is going on? The world is a vampire. Mr. Impact. Did we do Motor City Machine Guns? Yes. Knock, do you think there is a Jannetty among the two, or are they both Shawn Michaels? Let us know. As we move on to ROH, if you're familiar with Dalton Castle, these are the boys.
Yes, familiar with Dalton Castle, familiar with the boys. Obviously, I'm familiar that Dalton got rid of the boys at one point in his run, so both were given the Jannetty treatment. Unfortunately, I'm going to label both of them as Jannetties because without Dalton, I don't see him winning matches, either of them.
I agree. The roster page is pretty slim on ROH right now. With the end of the month, they do TV tapings, and they got 2 days of that. So we'll see if more tag teams are added, but I do believe these are your Los Lotharios of ROH. Noob, I got to pay attention to our Twitter. I kind of just check it once or twice a week. And Daz, we are mixing everything up, AEW and WWE. Everything is in there. If you know someone that is going to be a Jannetty or Shawn Michaels, let us know your thoughts. As we get into the Viking Raiders, I like that Valhalla's with her. Met her at WrestleMania 35. She's just a sweetheart. Going back and forth in 50-50 booking a tag team makes me not believe in the tag team. So I think we have two Jannetties. Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, I like the Viking Raiders. I like them as War Machine. I think that they stand out. Let's put it this way: they are something that's different to tag team wrestling that you don't see. They bring their own unique style to matches as well, and I think that they are awesome with what they do. But I'm not fully into what they're currently being presented on SmackDown, even though I think they needed a heel turn. But I mean, you're going to put me on the spot here. I know that obviously Valhalla is with Eric and they're married in real life. But when before we were going into the pandemic, Ivor was the ladies' man. Eric was pushed to the side like a Jannetty. So from process of elimination, Eric, it's probably a good thing that you're married because you're going to be my Jannetty.
There we go. You know what made them both kind of Jannetties to me? Was the stuff that they did with the Street Profits, with the games and everything.
Yeah.
And Eric's a smaller one, correct?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay. His face looks like Haley Joel Osment, the kid from The Sixth Sense. So that throws me off too, which makes me like, all right.
See that.
All right. I see Jannetties. They are awesome in the ring. You put them into the war games or anything like that, they'll deliver 100%. All right. I'm not even going to say their catchphrase. Eric says this all the time when he's in church, when he's grocery shopping, when he's in the old people's home. He just lets it fly. Do you see a Jannetty between Max Caster and Anthony Bowens?
Never break them up. These two are awesome together. I think that they've got an act, and they have tapped into that act and organically got it over so well with the audience. You could see it a couple of years ago when it came in as heels. It was like the boombox thing to start off with, and just the raps and stuff. But over time, we've gone through controversy. We've gone to the other side. These two have really gone to the forefront, even to the point they've been tag team champions in the AEW division when arguably they were going to lose that match. Whether they were going to move on or not, I don't know. But the whole media scrum, that was an interesting night in general anyway. We're basically questioning that decision that night while Swerve and Keith Lee were sitting there. Must have been fun for them, to the point that the R-Thrash call was made. Acclaimed every Wednesday. Don't split them up. But hey, you're going to make me make a split decision here, and I'm going to have to pick one or the other. Both are great in ring. I think they're both actually fairly decent on the mic. But if we're going to split them up, Max Caster is the one with the raps. So if they were to split tomorrow, I think that Caster is the one that would get more of the push, and he has previously been. I don't know if Bowens was injured at the time, although he's been susceptible to injuries in the past.
Yeah.
Caster has even been on the Face of the Revolution ladder match as a singles athlete at that point. So I think Bowens would sadly be the one that would end up being the Jannetty, but I think both would be fine in their own right.
I think so as well. I think Bowens is the Jannetty for me. When you have a microphone, you don't need to yell in it. The purpose of a microphone is to amplify sound, but that's just old man ears for me. And Noob cannot stand the raps. I'm very critical of the raps just because I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. Just I like him though. No matter what he does, if I like it or not, I like that he goes out there and tries to swing for the fences with them.
Yeah,
Knox's Bowens might be slightly better in tiny time, but Caster's slightly better on the mic, mostly because of the raps. Yeah. In the ring. There we go. All right, let's move on here. We're almost wrapping up. So if you got any tag teams that we missed, let us know. Steve, thank you again for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Deadly. Boy, oh boy, what does moving to a new country make? These guys are great.
Yeah, they are. I've compared them. They remind me a bit of in a way, the Beverly Brothers from the early 90s. But in another way, if we're going to go to another decade later, I think you're looking at your potentially modern day Edge and Christian. They know their characters down to a T. They know perfectly what they're doing, even to the point when they lost at the last NXT show, Vengeance Day, coming in looking completely rough and not the pretty, if you want, to that show. I thought was a lot of fun. Just seeing different dynamics with their characters. Not everything is hit. A couple of things have been missed, but these two for me don't break them up. I at the moment feel it's too soon to call if there's a Jannetty or not, but maybe Kit Wilson would be the one. I feel that Elton Prince is the one that probably is more at the front. Again, you've actually got it with the graphics as well there, which probably, I don't know if that's swaying me at the time here, but if I had to pick it, I'd say Kit Wilson would be the Jannetty. But for me, I think these two, keep them together. They go together like, I don't know, whatever comparisons you want to make, peanut butter and jelly. Do you know what I mean? They should not be split at any given point. I think they could be your future of the WWE tag team division.
I fully agree. I would never split these two up. And if you want to later on down the line, freshen them up, give them a valet or something. But they don't even need it. They're just so good. And like you said, they know their character. And when you know your character, you become someone like Stone Cold Steve Austin, who knew his character.
Exactly.
Blossom Twins, another twin tag team from TNA. Knock with all the TNA knowledge you ever want. Join us every Sunday at 4 p.m. for all the TNA talk you can handle. The Mega Powers. There you go. Yeah, I'll ask you a question at the end here. FTR. We don't know if they're signing yet or not. I do believe they're going to re-sign with AEW. They're already trying to mend fences on stuff that Dax is walking back some stuff that he said before about AEW, and he's kind of owning up to it. So I think that's a way to kind of mend fences with TK, and I think they're going to re-sign with AEW. Interesting stuff there. I mean, I'm on the fence whether they re-sign or they don't. Obviously, we've seen. Don't know if that was intentionally with the bottle of alcohol, whatever it was, with the tag team titles holding up. There looked to be a contract in the corner. I mean, I'm just saying that swiggle looked like it could be a rival company, but alleged contract tampering. We won't say it's officially happening, but for me, if you look in the last 12 months, I would argue, and some people disagreed with me when I said this before, but I think Dax Harwood potentially was in the top 10 wrestlers of the year last year. He had some fantastic matches, some great singles matches as well. If you're making me pick a Jannetty, it would be Cash Wheeler, but these two, I mean, obviously, one of the, if not the best tag team in the world. They're definitely in the top two. Unbelievable the work they've put in the ring outside of WWE. Did some great work in WWE as well, along with NXT. So it's almost cruel to make me choose here, Zax. Well, if it sways you at all, I call them Dax and his shadow. So, yeah. They do need some work on the mic. I will say that. And I 100% believe they should stay off Twitter. When you got to backtrack comments constantly, just stay off Twitter. You're fine. Just enjoy your drinking without your WWE contract in the picture. Absolutely. Noob, I do not think they're going back to WWE. I don't think so. And Vince McMahon is coming back. Ruined my day. All right, let's get into something here that Noob's bringing up. An NWA is a mixed tag team. Natalia Markova and Mercurial, the looks that kill, because Natalia is the HBK because she's a fan of Sean, and Mercurial is the Marty. Again, if I can stand some power, I'll watch it.
I'm aware of Natalia Markova's work at least, and yeah, definitely. Just through a process of elimination would make her the Sean for me, but she definitely has got a lot of potential. I can see her having a bright future in the wrestling business.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go back to NXT. KC Squared. I feel like they're just on even playing field, and I want them to be a tag team for a lot longer and move up to the main roster as one.
Yeah, I do as well. I have to be honest. I think that when you've seen their work individually, they have not anywhere got near the shine of what they have as a tag team. Obviously now the longest reigning women's tag team champions in NXT, which probably is not the hardest thing to do, but they had to wait long enough to get the opportunity to do it. So I'm pleased that they got that chance. For me, I'm more of a fan of Kaden Carter than Katana Chance. I was going to have Casey Caranzaro there, but mainly because of the fact that I don't always believe Katana's offense. I just feel that sometimes it just looks featherweight to me rather than what Caden does. But I do believe that if you were to split them apart, I think that Casey would probably, or Katana. They do all these name changes. It's throwing me.
I just call him KC Squared just to keep it simple.
I think that Katana probably would do better purely on the basis that she did the Ninja Warrior stuff, and I think that's made her stand out with her in-ring ability, and she's even got a couple of Rumble appearances off of that as well. So I think Caden would end up being the Jannetty, but as I say, I'm probably more of a fan of Caden Carter of the two.
I am as well, and I like them both as a pair because they're the real friends in real life. But sometimes Katana can do a move where I'm like, no, you're not taking down someone with that crossbody. You're not. But still good stuff. All right, we got 2 more to go, and they're both brothers. The Young Bucks in AEW. They've been around so long. I figured one of them would have broken out, but I think they are just 100% fine being a tag team for life.
I mean, we've not had Dynamite tonight yet, have we? But yeah, I don't think that, like you say, these two, I think they're destined to be joined at the hip for life. They know what they're doing. Like they were the team that came into Impact Wrestling Generation Me and were told they wouldn't make on the indies, wouldn't sell the t-shirts, wouldn't start a promotion, wouldn't sell out for All In and stuff. They've done everything and more. They're one of the big selling points of what was the Bullet Club. Whether you like their tag team wrestling style or you don't, they have a huge influence on the business, and it's going to be remembered for good forever. When it comes to picking out a Jannetty, I mean, it's almost impossible. I do think Nick Jackson's probably the better in-ring performer of the two. He's had more singles matches as well. I think of the likes of Bryan Danielson, particularly, was a great match they did on Rampage in one of the early days for Rampage anyway. I think with Pac as well we did. But Matt Jackson, there's something with Matt. He's got more of the cocky attitude on the mic. So I think you do need mic work in this game to survive. And I think that if you're just even going off this graphic alone, Matt Jackson looks like he's got the barbershop in him to hit that super kick first. And speaking of super kick parties,
Oh man, yeah, I want to say Matt is. So before I even saw them do anything, I saw a promotion where they're doing something online, and Matt stood out. And this was back when they were selling T-shirts at Hot Topic, before even Pro Wrestling Tees. So like you said, they've done everything that people said they couldn't do, and they did it pretty much their own way. So I gotta give them credit for that. But I'll say no Jannetty, no Shawn Michaels. A Shawn Michaels of a tag team though.
Absolutely, Shawn Michaels of a tag team. Absolutely, like Frank Sinatra, they did it their way.
That's right. All right, Noob thinks KC Squared should take the belts off Damage Control. You mean Ronda and Baszler? And who do you think this would be a good tag team? Sting and Darby. Sting is probably on his last run this year, just like Dustin. So do you think they should do a tag run?
I mean, they have done some matches together. I know sometimes they've done the 6-man stuff as well and 8-man tags, but I was actually expecting this to come up actually in the video, so I'm pleased it did there from Daz. I would say that obviously when you look at the longevity of Sting's career, of course, he's the Shawn Michaels of the two. There's no arguments, but Darby Allin still, of course, has got his career ahead of him. So I think you couldn't really make that comparison until they actually probably both finished their careers. But I do think at some point in 2023, Darby's going to turn heel and he's going to turn on Sting, and we will have a match. I would say Double or Nothing, All Out, before Sting leaves.
I believe that's true too, and I do believe Sting will love every second of making Darby turn heel on him. That's Steve Borden right there. He just likes helping out the younger ones.
Yeah.
All right. Knox says Nick Jackson is the guy. Bucks, no Jannetty's on the Bucks.
I have to agree.
We got one last one to go. You know who it is.
We've been waiting.
They're the ones. They're the ones on two brands. Even before the Bloodline started, I was putting them as one of my top 3 modern day tag teams, up there with the Bucks and the New Day. They've done so much stuff, so many different types of character changes, from the Samoan Legacy stuff when they came out, to now up doing the Bloodline and being 2 separate people rather than team. The Bucks seem like a team, not 2 separate individuals, but these 2 have grown so much. Jimmy and Jay Uso. Do you see a Marty Jannetty? Do you see 2 Shawn Michaels?
Well, I mean, obviously, when it comes to tag team wrestling, definitely 2 Shawn Michaels. Now, there is an argument there. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate the kind comment there. That does mean a lot. It's great to be here. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the tag team division now, we're going to look at the Usos as one of the best of all time. I mean, they've better than Demolition's record, better than the New Day's record. They are the standing bar now for tag teams to hit. But if a prediction of mine comes right after WrestleMania, I do think we're going to see one breakout over the other, and that would probably, by process of elimination, make a Shawn Michaels and make a Jannetty. Not necessarily through turning on one another, but just because I think this one is going to, lead a charge to turn on Roman Reigns, because once they lose all the gold, this guy's already been told he's got a way out, and I think his way of getting out is actually getting Roman out, and I think Jey Uso is going to lead the charge. I think with main event Jay, the right-hand man, while Jimmy was away, he has established himself not just on SmackDown, but probably to an audience perspective, that he is the Shawn Michaels of the 2. And I think that now, because originally when I thought if there'd be a breakup with the Bloodline, it would make sense for Solo to be the one leading. He's a singles guy, right?
Right.
But Jey Uso would be the full circle of that storyline. So for me, I think that, again, it's a process of elimination here. That they're both Shawn Michaels tag team. There's not a Jannetty amongst us. Jimmy would still be fine. He'd still be in the hottest angle in wrestling. But I think that I would make Jimmy the Jannetty of the 2. And I think Jay, I think that by the end of SummerSlam, I think he gets a win over Roman Reigns.
Wow, that's a big prediction. I'd actually really like to see that. We got the rumors that Roman's going to take time off. He's not going to be on Money in the Bank. So after WrestleMania, who knows? I personally do believe Cody's not taking the belts. I'll go out there and say that. I think Roman's taking the win here. And they're setting up next year, The Rock at Mania. And then if they do that, since The Rock's schedule is nice and clear next year, I do believe I like that storyline so much that you have these 2 fight. You have your Brett and Owen match. And I think as brothers, being a tag team for so long, and it would mean the world to them for their individuality to shine. And what a family, Samoan family dynasty WrestleMania that would be.
That would be incredible. That would be absolutely incredible.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. Steve, that is it. That is all the tag teams I have. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
It's been great to be a part. It's been a lot of fun as well. I think it's a very creative idea, but I mean, I'm used to that when I watch your videos on a consistent basis. You guys do fantastic work with each and every video you put out. There's always unique, original content. And hey, everyone that's here already knows they're probably subscribed here already, but for those that haven't, then they should do so to your channel, my man.
I appreciate that. And I love your channel. Again, you are like my lunchtime watch every week. You got to check out Steve's channel. It is in the description below. Check it out. Subscribe. He just put out a video with Jonesy Chats Wrestling today. I'm going to go back and watch it tonight because I want to know why the hell we're getting Brock Lesnar versus Omos at WrestleMania. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that, because that I don't know what the hell. We'll
It's
see.
outside the box, isn't it? Let's be fair. It's not something I think anyone saw coming before this Monday on Raw.
But even Omos was like, what? All right. I want to pick your brain for 2 seconds here just so we can get to know you a little bit better here with your tag teams. What is your favorite tag team of all time? Not who you think is the best, not your Mount Rushmore, just who do you enjoy the most watching?
So, I mean, for me, I am predominantly, I look back at the Attitude Era with great fondness of tag team wrestling. I used to love the Hardys, Edge and Christian, Dudley's tables, ladders, chair matches. One of them, WrestleMania 17, one of my favorite matches of all time. But I I was a big fan of Hardys because of, the nostalgia of the brothers and the Swantons and the Death Defying stunts. But always the Dudleys, I think, were the underappreciated tag team at that time. And I used to love the 3D. I used to love the tables. So
Yeah.
for me, I think the Dudleys probably are my favorite tag team of all time. They've got the declaration to go with it on the side as well. But obviously as well, when starting wrestling, Legion of Doom, Steiner Brothers, those sort of teams stand out to me as well.
Nice. ECW house shows with the Dudley Boys was always special. It was,
Mm.
if you got heel Dudley Boys, it was like being in the front row at a hot stand-up session. Like you're gonna get it from them.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I don't know, it was Hardcore Heaven or Heatwave. I think it was '99, just before they left, and they had like I think the clip on its own on YouTube was like 8 minutes of just going for the crowd. They literally wanted a riot to start, and like for me, when you go back and watch that stuff, like there's no way you get away with it in 2023. There's no arguments with that. But at the same time, it was if you want that sort of like jaw dropping stuff, like then they were like head and shoulders above anything else that you would see going on.
Definitely. They knew what they were doing, and it was just like they I don't want to say they're smart about it because they were very crass and very whatever. But if you go back and watch it, they knew how to get attention for ECW in a day before cell phones and tweeting about it and everything. So they were great. And Daz, what's going on with the Hardys? Court dates. That's what's going on. But Matt Hardy is reportedly going to be broken again. So we'll see. Of today's modern day tag teams, who's your favorite?
I mean, right now, I would say that it's probably the answer everybody gives, but it's like it is Usos, FTR, those sort of teams probably are probably up there at the moment. Usos for me, I just think in WWE, it feels important every time they come out, and I like importance to tag team wrestling. I actually feel they have it's a split at the moment. We know Cody Roman is night 2. Usos for me have a shot of being main event at night 1. I know that arguably, and I do believe the women should have their main event. Rhea and Charlotte, obviously, with Rhea winning the Rumble. But would we argue with that storyline that Sammy and KO with the Usos have had over the last 8 months if they got the spot? I mean, it's it feels important. Certainly, it's a semi-main if it's not a main, put it that way. So they've done incredible work. FTR, obviously, some of the best matches we saw in AEW last year, or certainly around AEW. Certainly, if they weren't in AEW, they did it everywhere else. They had some incredible matches as well. So yeah, they're probably the two that probably stand out for me at the moment. But as well, from just a different dynamic, the Lucha Bros are another one that I think should be utilized better than what they are.
100%. And I would have had more AEW tag teams on here, but Tony Khan introduced those trios titles, and now everyone is in a faction with trios in mind to set up faction warfare, which is fine. But I mean, it used to be the hottest tag division in all of wrestling, all across the world. And now it's just, it's getting a little smaller because of those trios titles.
Yeah, and it's probably a reason why the Guns have those titles right now, because every other one, like you said, it's trios. The Bucks are with Kenny. You mentioned House of Black. Lucha Bros have been with Pac. Best friends with Orange Cassidy. So yeah, it's literally it's faction warfare, isn't it?
That it is. All right, thank you for taking the time, Steve. I really appreciate it. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to plug up? Anything you got coming up on your channel? Again, links in the description to his channel. It is fantastic.
I appreciate the kind words. Like I say, thank you for having me on. And it's always great to do collaborations with your good selves here on this channel. But coming up on my channel, obviously, like you said, the Q&A was done today. There'll be plenty of those between now and WrestleMania. I think that's probably live content is what you can expect mainly. But I'm looking to try and squeeze out 1 or 2 more let's say pre-recorded videos this week. I've definitely got one from MJF in the works that I think could be good. I like to do some fantasy booking as well. So if you're into your fantasy booking, predictions, reviews, and just basically an English guy talking nonsense about pro wrestling for a good hour and a half, then I'm your guy.
All right. He is your guy. Again, great stuff. I just love the channel. It's very it's community friendly. So if you got comments, hit him up with the comments while you're watching his videos. And again, like and subscribe his stuff. He's great. Steve, thank you again for being here, and let us know in the comments if we didn't hit your tag team. Let us know, and we'll reply and let you know who is the Shawn Michaels, who is the Gigi Jannetty. That is it. Steve, thanks again. Take care, everyone, and have a great week.
Cheers. Thank you.